Devi Dasi today. She does a lot of services for our temple, coordinating Prashadam cooking, helping Atmamaya Mataji, and she also does Bhakti Sastra teaching and things like that. So with that, over to you, Jaya Subhadra.
Thank you. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to the Sunday Feast Bhagavad Gita class and Sunday Feast program itself. First, we'll start with Jaya Radha Madhava, and Samanvita is going to sing for us. Thank you, Samanvita.
Hare Krishna, Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Givaradhari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivaradhari, Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivaradhari, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Samanvita. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna devotees. So we'll begin our Sunday Feast Bhagavad Gita class with Mangalacharan prayers. Om Agyanati Vedandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unvitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sahagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitamtam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Tamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhu evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we will discuss verses, try to at least go 3 verses. starting from verse 16 of chapter 7 from Bhagavad Gita. The title of the chapter 7 is Knowledge of the Absolute. So as we know, chapter 7, there are 3 sections of Bhagavad Gita. We can divide the 18 chapters into 3 parts. The first 6 chapters talk about Karma Yoga, and the middle 6 chapters, which is 7 through 12, talk about Bhakti Yoga, and then Jnana Yoga. 13 through 18 is Jnana Yoga. So these are very important chapters, beginning from chapter 7. Of course, all the chapters of Bhagavad Gita, entire Bhagavad Gita is very important, but specifically this 6 chapters is where Krishna is talking on the nature and activities of pure devotional service. What is, what does he want from us? How do we execute devotional service, and so forth. So we'll go to the today's verse. Prashant Prabhu has kindly displayed the verse here. Thank you, Prabhu. So I'll read 7:16, and then we can have maybe 3 devotees, one Prabhu, one Mataji, and some kids, one kid to actually child to read the verse. So I'll read 7:16. Chaturvida bhajante mam jnana sukritino arjuna artho jignashur artharthi gnani cha bharatar sabha. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna artho jignashur artharthi gnani cha bharata sabha. Anybody, any Prabhus to read? Volunteers.
Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Chadurvita bhajate mam jnanam sukritino arjuna artho jitnyasu artarthi jnani cha bharatarshava.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I can read.
Thank you, Mataji.
Chadurvida bhajante mam janaha suhurtino arjuna artha jignasur artarthi gnani cha bharatat sabha.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukrutinarjuna artho jignasu artharthi jnani cha bharatarshava. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Any kids would like to recite? Any one of the kids?
Can I read? Can I read, Mataji?
Yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
Cheturvidha bhajante mam janaha sukrutino arjuna artho jignasu arthati gnani cha bharatara sabham. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. So we'll move on to the translation of this verse by Srila Prabhupada. O best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desire of wealth, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. So if we see in just a verse, one verse before this verse, which is 7:15, Krishna is talking about talks about the 4 kinds of people who do not surrender to Krishna. And in today's verse, this 7:16, Krishna talks about 4 kinds of people who approach him. So that's the link. And of course, in 7:14, Krishna is talking about how to overcome this material ocean of the existence of this material ocean, which how to overcome. It becomes very, very easy to overcome the 3 modes of material nature if one surrenders to him. And so he actually in 7:15 talks about who are those people who do not surrender to him, and now he's coming to those who surrender to him. Eventually they'll surrender, but they approach him at least. And so the Vedic scriptures actually describe different types of people, different souls, different categories of souls who turn to Krishna. varieties, right? They are at a different stages of their practices, and they approach. They may have some devotion. Some may have more devotion. Some may have less devotion. Some may be pure devotees. So all the way from, it's called Bhakti Abhasa, to all the way to Shuddha Bhakti. Bhakti Abhasa means it's a shadow Bhakti, means it's not pure devotional service. It's like we have for chanting. When we are chanting, we may not be at the stage of pure chanting, but we are still chanting. If we are not chanting offensively, then it is Nama Abhasha, means it's a shadow. It's a in-between stage between offenseless chanting, which is pure chanting, to chanting with offenses. It's not chanting with offenses, but it is not pure chanting also. It's in between stage. We are on our way to pure chanting. So here, same thing. We are not rendering pure devotional service to Krishna, but it's kind of a mixed devotion to Krishna, right? We may not be. The process is pure. The process of Krishna consciousness is pure, but we are not there yet to follow it purely. So this 716, Krishna is mentioning 4 pious people. He calls them pious, although they are materially motivated, and they approach him with they also have varying degrees of faith, and they come to the Lord with some expectations. At least the 3 of them, and then we'll discuss the 4th one also, all 4 of them. So if the first one is, if you see the verse, Artha, that is a person who is distressed. People who are distressed approach Krishna in their distress, hoping that Krishna will remove my distress. Example from Srimad Bhagavatam is, famous example is Gajendra, the elephant, right? He was in a fight. I mean, he was struggling to come out from the jaws of the crocodile. One of his leg was held up by the crocodile in the water, and he was in that position for, they say, like 1,000 years, celestial years. It's a long time, and he was praying. He prayed to Krishna. First, of course, he actually prayed that, please take me out of this distress. So that Gajendra is one of the examples. Then the second category is Artharthi. Artharthi is somebody who is after wealth, seeking money. Dhruva Maharaj he started out like that, Dhruva Maharaj, because he wanted a kingdom bigger than his father and even his grandfather. He wanted to show, because he got insulted and he was not given the opportunity to sit on his father's lap. And of course, he was guided by his mother to go and pray to Krishna. So he started out with that motive. And then we have the inquisitive, Jignashu. They are also pious, but they are ignorant of the absolute truth. Of course, when their piety matures and they understand the workings of the material world, they want to understand the reality of things, how they work. Usually they are not satisfied with varieties of teachings as secular scriptures present, and they're led more by curiosity, just to know. They're very inquisitive to know. And example given is that the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by the Shaunaka Rishi, we read in Srimad Bhagavatam. So they are the example. And then we have the 4th category, who are the Nyanis, the seekers of truth. They renounce worldly pleasures, and they are not interested in having anything in return from the Lord. Unlike the first three categories, we see they want something. They want the Lord to remove the distress. They want the Lord to give them money, or they're very inquisitive. They're looking for some more, findings and all that. But here, the Nyanis actually are they're not Mayavadis, they are not impersonalist. We should understand that also. We are not talking about the Jnanis who are impersonalist, but they are more like Brahmavadis, who understand the nature of the Lord, who understand their own nature also as a spirit soul. So the four Kumaras are examples, and they also accept the form of the Lord. So the four Kumaras, who earlier, had the knowledge, but they were not fully engaged, they were not engaged in devotional service. But they, of course, moved from that position, and by the mercy of Krishna, they actually became personalists. They engaged in devotional service. So the first three people, the distressed and the seeker of wealth, the inquisitive, they're called Sakama Bhaktas. They come, worship the Lord, worship Krishna, but have material desires. The last one is the Jnanis. The Jnanis actually Krishna is going to talk about the Jnani. Out of the four, who is the best in the next verse. So we'll hold on to that for right now. But one more thing in this verse, 7:16, Krishna is talking about, if we say Jana Sukritino Arjuna, Sukritino. So Krishna is saying these are, Sukriti is pious people, by addressing these four kinds of worshippers who come to him as pious. Krishna acknowledges their piety, that piety that has resulted from activities they have done in the past, and that has led them to come to him. In contrast, if we see the previous verse, 7:15, Krishna says, he describes the activities that do not lead to Krishna, lead to God or Krishna. He calls them impious and perpetrated like miscreants. They are more like duskritina. So what is piety? It's very important. What kind of piety is being talked about here? And what is piety in the first place? So we have to understand there are three kinds of piety, mainly. Material piety, it's also called as Bhogan Mukhi Sukriti. Bhogan Mukhi Sukriti. It means that we perform pious activities, we get some material benefit out of it, some enjoyment out of it. We want a higher standard of material enjoyment. So people perform this kind of piety to get something higher enjoyment in return, like elevation to Swargaloka, heavenly planets. The next category set of pious activities is people desiring liberation in one sense. Mokshan Mukhi Sukriti. It leads to liberation. Such pious activities lead to liberation. And then we have the third, it's called the spiritual piety. It's Bhakti Anmukhi Sukriti. Specifically, it refers, by this kind of piety, one gets the association, one has the good fortune of getting association of Vaishnavas or devotee association. And having that association of devotee leads to practice of bhakti. So we saw, what are the effects? What is the difference we saw, and the effects of these pieties and how they are connected, specifically how the material piety is connected to the spiritual piety, how it's related. Spiritual piety awakens pure devotion, right? It's Bhakti Anmukhi Sukriti. It is distinct from material piety. Material piety can only give material opulence. it can help, it can serve as a catalyst to perform, to, to lead to spiritual piety, but it is never the cause of devotion. Cause of devotion is what? Bhakti causes bhakti, meaning there is no cause. We say causeless bhakti, right? Devotional service is causeless, like that. Meaning there is no, only person who can have bhakti can give bhakti to others. And how it works, we'll see. But material, in short, material piety cannot, be the cause of devotion. It can be a in-between catalyst to, speed up or something, but it's not the ultimate cause. That has to be understood. So materially motivated people, generally we see, or those who are looking for this material piety, they engage in pious deeds, right? They're inclined to open hospitals, orphanage, helping the poor, giving in charities. They also, in doing all these things, they also are interested in, they also chant mantras sometimes. They also observe maybe vows, maybe read scriptures, knowingly, unknowingly. Sometimes they get invited, we might have ourselves gone through all these things, unknowingly perform some devotional activity, and that becomes the source of their spiritual piety. So that is where preaching is preaching to people who do not have so much faith, how to bring about, or they do not have the knowledge, but they are little reluctant, how to build their sukriti, spiritual sukriti from material, but they are very pious souls in the sense they do all these other things. How to bring them to the other level of sukriti, which helps them start their spiritual life. So we inspire them, encourage them, give them prashadam, invite them to chant, hear classes, give charities to, temple, the Vaishnavas, participate in some sacrifices that are happening, so forth, maybe ask them to practice, fasting on Ekadashis and so forth. So that this kind of activity, eventually, unknowingly they may perform, or sometimes knowingly, but not with full faith because they're not there yet. Then what happens? This kind of piety leads them to the association of Vaishnavas. And with the association of Vaishnavas, they come to, point where they start to approach Krishna for their needs. They come and visit the temple and they can ask Krishna, this is what I want, this is what I'm going through, and so forth. So Krishna therefore says, this 4 kinds of pious persons who turn to him, we should know that each of them has gathered enough spiritual piety to do so. They've come some way or the other, they have done something, knowingly, unknowingly, which brings them to Krishna. So people sometimes do not know the various kinds of, all these pieties. They may conclude that pious deeds themselves give rise to devotion, but that's not true. The scriptures don't say that. Material piety, mode of goodness, atmosphere, the mode of goodness atmosphere may be more conducive and may bring people in contact with spiritual life. But material pious acts do not cause full spiritual devotion. And scriptures also say, right, like I said, bhakti comes from bhakti. It's the devotee who's carrying bhakti in their heart, prays to Krishna to give mercy, and then Krishna gives the mercy, and that comes through the mercy of devotee. We have examples, a famous example of Narada Muni. What did Narada Muni, he's famous, right? He goes and preaches. He's a transcendental person who can travel to different planetary systems. He doesn't need any visa or anything. He just travels and he preaches the message of bhakti, devotion to Krishna. So one such story is about famous story. Of course, he preached to so many famous personalities, right? Prahlad Maharaj in the womb, he was being preached by Narada Muni. Dhruva Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj intention was, again, as we saw, to gather wealth. But Narada Muni came and intervened, and then he gave the mantra, and then he asked him to chant the mantra, and then we see what happened to Dhruva Maharaj, when he got the darshan of Vishnu, and he said, I was looking for some, I was looking for glass of pieces of glass. Actually, this is not my, my intention was, I started out like that, but I feel it's a very small petty thing that I was looking for. Now that I've realized what is the goal of life, and seeing, this is again mercy of Narada Muni. And Mrigari the hunter, right? So Mrigari the hunter, what happened to him? He was hunting in the forest indiscriminately, was killing animals, and not only just killing them, he was killing them half dead, half killed. And Narad Muni, when he found out, he went to Mrigari, and he actually expressed to Mrigari that, what are you doing? You are making their life so painful, because half killed, right? They're not dead yet, but they're suffering like anything. And Mrigari did not understand. He says, what is the difference between killing them whole or killing them half? I don't see any difference, Why, I thought you have come here to get some deer skin from me. Please don't interfere with my activities. That's what Mrigari initially told Narada Muni. Because he did not have any idea, Mrigari did not have any idea of what is sinful, what is punya, what is papa, nothing. So he was just going about doing his thing, killing them halfway, killing animals halfway. And Narad Muni instructed him, you stop this hunting business altogether, because what you are engaged, your activities are very sinful. And then he gave knowledge to Mrigari, that and convinced him about spiritual life. And then Mrigari said, okay, I will give up. He understood what he was engaging in. It was very sinful. And he was also concerned, how would I earn my livelihood if I stop my, what I've been doing for years. So Narad Muni said, I will arrange for all your livelihood, whatever you need. And of course, the villagers found out, and every day Mrigari had enough food, enough grains, enough food to eat. And we saw how Mrigari actually changed completely, and he would not even step on. Later on, we see how he would not even step on ant passing by. He would be so careful walking that if he sees an ant passing by, he will jump around his way wherever he was going, so that he does not step on the ant. So this is the practical example we see, instance where one becomes a devotee of the Lord, and all the good qualities of a devotee, and all the good qualities start to manifest in that person. And that is because of the association of pure devotee, such as Narada Muni here. And of course, like I said, Dhruva Maharaj and many, even the snake, there is an example of how he stopped, biting. He was very, very poisonous, and upon the instruction of Narad Muni, he gave up his venom. So this, this is how the materially pious come to pure devotion. Of course, what we talked about was they were not even material. At least Mrigari was not even materially pious. But it's a journey how to come from being materially pious to pure devotion, unknowingly performing devotional service. We may all have, we sometimes ask, some people come in our lives and they say, I know we had, when we were in Seattle, we were carrying Gaur Nitai deities and we were going to temple, and it was snow and the car got stuck, and there were some people walking by. They said, can we help you? And they started to push the car to get it down the slope so that, it's not stuck on the slope, big high level. So they started pushing the car, and we were thinking they're doing devotional service because we were out of the car, but at least Gaur Nitai were sitting inside. So they unknowingly, they did devotional service. And Krishna, of course, never forgets, knowingly, unknowingly, whatever act one does for Krishna, Krishna always remembers. That's the kind nature of the Lord. So even chanting, we go out for book distribution, we make them say Hare Krishna or give them the card of Mahamantra. We say this is a very powerful mantra. Please chant once. At least we make them chant one time. So that way they are chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, unknowingly. The potency of it, they don't know, but they're chanting. So these are some of the ways, practical ways, we can engage people who do not know how to connect to Krishna and start their spiritual life some way or the other. Prasadam is another example. So with that, so these are the 4 categories of people. So with that, we can go to the next verse, verse 17, where Krishna is talking about, he says, of this, the one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. For I am very dear to him and he is dear to me. So here we see Krishna appreciates, and instead the verse 18, he calls all 4 of them magnanimous. But here he specifically says, out of these 4 people who approach me, the one who is in knowledge, who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. And he says, I am very dear to him and he is dear to me. It's very important, right? Krishna is saying, we are dear to him, it means a lot, right? Krishna values such a person, such a devotee so much. So it's the Jnani out of the 4 that Krishna is talking about here. Who are these, who are these Jnanis? So they are like a Nishkama karmis, karma yogis, because they have full knowledge of who they are as a spirit soul. They also have understanding of Krishna's position as the super soul and as the Supreme Lord. And they have comparatively to all the other 3, they have a purity of purpose, basically. They don't have any material desires. They have not come to Krishna for material desires, but their desire is more for liberation. They're on that side, more for liberation, but they have no material desires at all. So as this Jnani further progresses in his or her spiritual journey, they will surrender to Krishna out of love. So Krishna says, such a person, such a wise person, Jnani, is very dear to me. He says, Tesam Jnani Nitya Yukta. Very important. He says Nitya Yukta because they are constantly trying to engage in devotional service. And Krishna also says in the verse, Eka Bhaktir Vishishyate, means such a person has one pointed devotion. He is best among all the other 3 kinds of people that are there. So one pointed focus. So therefore, he does not want anything in return. And he is not allured by any other things of material world also at the same time. It's a very, it's not an easy position what we are talking about, this jnani is. So advanced nishkama karma yogi, right? We see. Because others come for some fulfillment of material desires. So again, this jnani is not an impersonalist that is being referred to here, because he has this one pointed focus, eka only, that his only focus is Krishna. So our acharyas also mention that those looking to gain wealth or mitigate distress, they first must become inquisitive. And this inquisitiveness leads them to knowledge, and the knowledge will lead them to wisdom, and wisdom will lead to bhakti, pure bhakti. So they have to rise above their level and make progress, further progress towards pure bhakti. So very, this is the process. And then Krishna further in text 18, if we go to text 18, Krishna says in the translation, all these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls. But he who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. Being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me, the highest and most perfect goal. So this is Krishna's, word. The word that Krishna uses here is udara, right? Magnanimous. And Krishna praises all these four categories of people. First, he said, this is out of the four, jnani is the best. And now Krishna is saying, all four of them are magnanimous. It's a very big word. Magnanimous means they are very, great souls in one sense. Even though they have taken up, they take up devotional service for their own sense gratification, or they've come and approached Krishna for some material benefit, at least the first three categories, the Lord is encouraging here with them with kind words. And of course, inspired by Krishna's kindness, devotees, feel that confident that their desires, of course, will be fulfilled, that I have come to the right place. Krishna is so kind. He's calling us magnanimous, and he's going to fulfill our desires. And of course, with that, Krishna is also motivating them to take up more devotional service, more sadhana bhakti kind of thing. So this is how Krishna is encouraging in an indirect way. Those who are not very intelligent, because they are still after material desires, instead of taking pure devotional service or taking, being more serious about pure devotional service, they have material desires. But Krishna is still inducing and inspiring and encouraging them. And at the same time, he lets, of course, his opulence, his potencies are there. And with that, he purifies their hearts until they become kind of indifferent to, material things, and they begin to practice pure devotion. So it is also, sometimes people are afraid, in general, that if I go to Krishna, Krishna may give, but Krishna may also take some more time to give what I want, because Krishna has our best interest. It's very important to understand. Unlike approaching some other devatas, Krishna, they don't care. Other devatas do not, worry about our spiritual progress or spiritual well-being. Krishna does. Krishna knows, he knows where we are and what we need and what we don't need, and what will help us make further progress in our spiritual life. By how can we actually develop that devotion, that love for him, because that is ultimately that is for our own good. Developing love for Krishna is because our position right now is what? It's like a unnatural position that we are in. It's like a fish out of water. A fish, when taken out of water, is struggling, not happy at all, even if it's placed on a golden plate. Most opulent 24-karat gold plate, if you put the fish on it, fish is not going to be happy. Where it's going to be happy is when it's taken back to the ocean water or the river water, wherever it belongs, in the water. Similarly, that is actually we have all left our homes, our original homes, and come here and trying to find happiness, struggling hard with our mind, with our senses, and so forth, and trying to find that happiness which actually does not exist in the material world. It's a so-called happiness, right? And it's a big struggle, but we do not, in general, people do not understand. So Krishna is, anybody who comes to Krishna is so kind because he's so happy that at least they have started this path, they have started the journey to come to me where, I see their best interest and where they'll be eternally be happy. So in Bhagavatam also, Srimad Bhagavatam, this famous verse is there, right? Akama sarva kamova moksha kama udarita tivrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. That somebody who has a broader intelligence, whether they're full of material desires, sarva kamova, or whether they have no material desires, akama, or they are moksha kama, they're desiring liberation. They all, doesn't matter, they all should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yajate purusham param. Anybody and everybody without desires, with desire for liberation should come, must by all means worship Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is Krishna's strategy to reform, the mixed devotees. They're mixed because they are having material desires, but at the same time they understand, they follow the scriptures, they understand, to some extent they follow, and then they understand that we should approach Krishna with our material desires to be fulfilled. So this is Krishna's way of making them pure devotees in the future. It's very simple. He awakens the faith in their heart, and that faith further develops, becomes, as they engage, of course, somebody comes to the temple, they are distressed. We all go through that. We all are distressed at one point. We all approach Krishna. Some people have need for material wealth. They approach Krishna. So Krishna slowly works within their heart, gives them faith. And of course, how he does also, internally he does that, externally he does by giving the association of devotees. They meet devotees through prasadam, hearing, chanting little bit, all entire package together. They further make progress. They keep coming back. Sometimes what happens, the people we are talking about here, right? There are 4 kinds of people who come, at least the 3 or the first 2 come to Krishna in a distressed condition, and their problem is solved, and then they forget Krishna for a long time until the next problem shows up. Or what happens, sometimes the problem may not get solved and they lose hope and they may not come to Krishna. Same thing with desire of wealth. The desire is fulfilled, they'll come, or they may not come afterwards, right? But if the main point is, if they get association of devotees, if they're somehow, connected with devotees, they'll make further progress. That's a very big hope, and that's a very potent strategy Krishna has. And Krishna, as they come, Krishna has his devotees, and further Krishna also purifies them and increases their faith, inspires them from within. So one is indirectly inspiring devotees within, and directly sometimes intervening into their lives through the help of a devotee, via the medium of a devotee. So very important when they come. So it's a direct path or an indirect path. Connecting with devotees under the protection of the devotees and the association of devotees, they understand. Eventually, they'll come to understand message of Bhagavad Gita also, right? They understand what is Krishna saying at the end of Bhagavad Gita. Mam ekam sharanam raja, so just surrender unto me. So if they take the indirect path, it's hard for them to, indirect path means they may be hesitant, they may not come back. Then it's very hard for them to give up their attachments to their fruitive activities, the attachment to personal sense, the sense gratification, sense enjoyment tendency they have. And sometimes it takes a long time, because these are the two things. Bhoga Aishwarya, right? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that they become a stumbling block for them to make further progress. So Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, in Srimad Bhagavatam, that this is, as long as one is not, once again I'll read the right translation. Krishna says, as long as one is not satiated by fruitive activity. Sorry, I'll read again. As long as one is not satiated by fruitive activity and has not awakened his taste for devotional service by Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, one has to act according to the regulative principles of the Vedic injunctions. Meaning, one keeps on, after hearing so many things, still one has that strong attachment to fruitive activities, and the little taste for devotional service has not arisen or is not there. Then one has to keep on, it's a struggle, and one has to act according to the regulative principles of the scriptures. Means do the prescribed duty. They may come, somebody may come like once in a while and offer something, but again go back, not very interested in making Krishna their goal of life. But again, Krishna is very kind, and off and on Krishna gives so many opportunities because once somebody has come to Krishna, Krishna never forgets. Krishna presents so many opportunities for such people in different ways, different forms. Again, Krishna cannot force something on us because we have the free will, right? So Krishna can only give us the opportunities, and it is up to the spirit soul to take up those opportunities. But eventually, because sometime maybe not in this life, maybe next life, maybe in this life, we don't know how it works, but those mixed devotees, either there will be some delay, but gradually they'll come to realize, the temporary nature of this material world, the futile attempts of their futile attempts to be happy in this material world, and how powerful, how potent devotional service is. Sometimes Krishna can present some situations in life, and one may turn to Krishna again. So there are different ways Krishna has to bring back such souls who have once come to Krishna. Uddhava in Srimad Bhagavatam, he glorifies Krishna's effort to save the fallen souls. He says, I'll read again, 1 second. Uddhava says, "O my Lord, you appear in two features, externally as the Acharya and internally as the Super Soul, to deliver the embodied living being by directing him how to come to you. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, chapter 29, verse 6. So not only Krishna, but even Krishna, like Bhakti Devi, the agent of Krishna, who, she also guides, and those who are sincerely trying to come and practice, she removes obstacles from the devotees, that any hurdles to the devotional service, and makes it possible. But we should have faith, we should have patience, and we should, faith is very important. Faith in the process and faith in Krishna is very important. We are used to seeing instant results, instant turnaround of things. We cannot expect that, because we do our part and Krishna does his part. And Krishna knows much better than us what is good for us. We don't have that vision. We don't have that. We see very short-term things. Krishna sees long-term. He sees the overall picture of our whole life. And he, to sincere souls who are trying, he guides them. So we should not lose faith in Krishna. And we should know that Krishna is always wishing the best for us. He's our best friend. So very important in all these things. Yeah, there are other one more verse is there from Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll read that. The Supreme Personality of Godhead fulfills the material desires of a devotee who approaches him with such motives, but he does not bestow benedictions upon the devotee that will cause him to demand more benedictions again. However, the Lord willingly gives the devotee shelter at his own lotus feet, even though such a person does not aspire for it. And that shelter satisfies all his desires. That is the Supreme Personality's special mercy. So Krishna is like, he's so kind. In this verse we see, he is actually glorifying the mixed devotees who approach him, with material desires. He's calling them magnanimous. So this is his merciful nature. We should identify Krishna's merciful nature, that how merciful he is, even if we just approach him for some material desires, and how he, takes care of such souls. And similarly, Srila Prabhupada, has created this, we created ISKCON for all of us, open door policy, inviting one and all, whoever is eager to understand who's Krishna, to know more about devotional service, how to make our life eternal. Right now we are actually going through the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease unlimitedly. It's an unbreakable cycle, it seems, right? And devotional service is the only way we can break this cycle, vicious cycle, they say, right? Because it's we die, we take birth again, go old age, disease, again die, take birth, same thing, repeating and repeating. But that's not what we are supposed to do. That's not, as a spirit soul, that's not what we are supposed to do. We are, as a spirit soul, what is our nature? It is to love and serve Krishna. That is the nature of the spirit soul. But since we are not doing that, then we'll try to find love somewhere else, and we'll try to serve somebody else, and that will not satisfy the soul, because the root of our satisfaction and our love is Krishna. If we love Krishna, if we serve Krishna, we will satisfy everybody else or around us. So the ball is in our court. Krishna is ever welcoming us, ever helping us, ever so merciful to us. The question is for us, do we really want to go back and serve Krishna? Go back to, of course, we can serve Krishna here also, but do we want to develop that love for Krishna, the pure love for Krishna? Right now we have mixed love and mixed feelings, and we have our own shortcomings, anarthas, and desires separate from Krishna. So this is the question for all of us, and Krishna will not force us, but he can guide us if we want his guidance. And he has sent Srila Prabhupada to us. We have Srila Prabhupada and his disciples and so many other devotees are guiding us throughout our spiritual journey. So Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Gauranga, he has come. He's all merciful, right? He's so powerful and is readily available. His mercy is readily available to those who choose to take it, that mercy. So I think we'll conclude here. One more thing is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. I wanted to read this, very important, very nice actually. It says, this is a verse from Adi Leela Chaitanya Charitamrita 14.1. Says, things are very difficult to do. Things that are very difficult to do become easy to execute if one somehow or other simply remembers Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But if one does not remember him, even easy things become very difficult. So to this Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I offer my respectful obeisances. Wonderful verse. And we see, how things, we have that faith and if we remember Krishna, things do become easy in one sense, but that faith has to be there, and that faith has to be there. And the devotion should be there to approach Krishna with that devotion. So I'll stop here. We have maybe 2-3 minutes if there are any questions, comments, corrections.
Hare Krishna devotees, if you have any questions, please unmute and ask. Or if anybody has any questions here in room, please let me know. I'll give the mic.
Hare Krishna Mataji, amazing class. I have one quick question. So when we refer Mayavadis, are they Vedanta followers, or who are the Mayavadis that we are constantly refer in these classes?
Thank you, Mataji, for the wonderful question. The Mayavadis are, they're actually offensive to the Lord because they do not believe in Krishna having a form. Rather, they think when Krishna descends, as Krishna descended 5,000 years ago, he is also under illusion. He's not Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the ultimate goal of Mayavadis is to become God themselves, merge with God and become God. So that is their, in gist, that is their understanding. Satyasara, you can add more.
Yeah, I mean, they think everything is Maya. Everything is illusion, meaning this world is illusion. We are in illusion. The only reality is Brahman. So until you realize that you are that Brahman, then you will be in this world with this body and everything, which is very counterintuitive, because how can everything be illusion? Because we have experiences. So, but they think that even the experience is also illusion. So there is no soul, no body, nothing. This material elements doesn't exist. It's all just all pervading Brahman, and you become that Brahman. So they don't accept, even when the Lord Vishnu comes and takes different avatars, and Lord Supreme Lord Krishna comes, they think that they are also covered by Maya. So they are not, out of Maya. So in that way, they just make offense to the Supreme Lord himself. So everything is Maya. So that's why they are called Mayavadis. Makes sense, Sridhari Mataji?
One follow-up question, Prabhu. Are Advaita Vedanta people the Mayavadis, or these are separate group of people? Because Advaita Vedanta people, they do worship Vishnu, right, Prabhu?
Right. I mean, the Vedantas, I mean, they look at the Vedanta Sutra, but if you look at it and you interpret it differently. So they look at Vedanta Sutra and interpret it as, okay, everything is Maya, Brahman is the only reality. Okay, so, okay, yeah, they worship Vishnu, they worship other forms of the Lord, but that is only the temporary until you come to the platform of realization that you are Brahman. So everything is like a ladder. So you just climb up. Once you come to the top, then you see everything is Maya. You are the Brahman. So yeah, they worship Vishnu, they worship Lord Ganesh, they worship Krishna, they worship everything. All the gods, Supreme Lord also. But only so they all help you to come to the highest point of realization that, okay, I'm Brahman. Make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, I understand. Thank
So
you.
they look at the Vedanta Sutras and they interpret it like, everything is one reality, Brahman. So Vaishnavas also look at it and say it's a duality, it's a dualism. There is Jiva and there is a Supreme Jiva, like a Ishvara. So there is a relationship. So same slokas and same sutras, they look at it and interpret it this way.
Got it, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yeah. Over to you, Jaya Subhadra.
Yes, thank you. And any other questions, comments? If not, we can. I think Aarti is about to start.
Okay, I think looks like there are no other questions. So with that, thank you very much, Jaya Subhadra, for very nice class. And thank you very much. Let's now show our gratitude to Jaya Subhadra by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Mantra one time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So with that, yes, one more time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. So we're going to start Aarati. Devotees who are online, please pin Temple Satyasaradas video. You can see the Aarati live. So today Pujari is great. Damodar Prabhu. The Aarati singer is our dear Amrita Mataji. Samanvita. Jishnu is playing Mridanga and Amit Prabhu is supporting. And Hana is also supporting her mother. Hare Krishna. So let us all rise up, stand up, and we'll attend Aarati. Hare Krishna.
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Ninamine. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Nil Madhu Jaya Radhe Sorry. Yeah. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nittai Gaurang Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaurang Hari Bol, Nittai Gaurang Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaurang Hari Bol. Guru Hari Hari Bol.
Om Vishnu Pada Paramamsa Prahlad Stotra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jaya Om Vishnu Pada Paramamsa Prahlad Stotra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Shri Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Dham Ki Jai. Rajabhumi Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Kshetram Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Swami Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Prabhupada Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Prabhupada Transcendental Cow Protection Yagna Ki Jai. Prabhupada Transcendental Prashadam Distribution Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So now we are going to do Narsinga Arati. So we all can sit. Hare Krishna.
Namaste Narasimhayam Prahlad Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha